I'm Heidi,
And I'm Byron.
and we are Sailing Schmidt.
This episode takes place beginning Friday, June 20th, 2025, and it was time to leave Big Sand Cay in the Turks and Caicos Islands. We've had an amazing time here because of the natural beauty, and we found that message in the bottle. Of course, we are pressing on towards the Southeast Caribbean so that we can spend hurricane season in Grenada. We still have about 850 nautical miles to go. Our plan this time was to make it to Puerto Rico. It would take about 2.5 days, and we had the weather window to do that. We set off in the morning, and the seas were a bit higher than expected at first, but they did level out. We had to motor because we were directly into the wind, but we kept a small triangle of sail out for stability. We started seeing the biggest patches of sargassum that we had ever seen. We would try to weave around them, but sometimes they were just too expansive, so cutting through was the only way. We did have very manageable seas, varying from 1 to 2 foot up to about 4 foot.
Okay, so what happened was we left Big Sand Cay, and I think you were on the first night shift, weren't you?
I was on the first night shift,
Yeah,
and I was working, and about 1:30 you were supposed to take over.
right.
And
Even though I hadn't had any sleep, but it was still my time.
yeah, you get what you get.
You do.
I poured 2 jerry cans of fuel into the tank because we were at a quarter tank,
hmm
and tried to get some sleep.
And he tried to get some sleep, and about 10 minutes after he laid down, that's when the engine started acting up, and it was basically like doing this weird thing where it would run and then it would kind of sputter, and then it seemed like it was like taking a breath, and then the RPMs would go down, and then it would come back up again. And I thought it sounded like a jalopy, whatever that is. I don't know what a jalopy is, but it sounds pretty sloppy. And then I was real worried because we have such a good engine, and I didn't want anything to be wrong with it.
So we just kept on rolling for another
It was
2 days like that.
Yeah, it was obvious that it was bad fuel, because it happened like right, just 10 minutes after he put the fuel in. And so we already had a backup plan if we weren't gonna, if we were too tired to make it to Puerto Rico, or if we had some bad weather, we were going to go to the Dominican Republic, specifically the Samana Bay. So, and then you found the marina that we could go to.
Yeah, basically
So-
we made way for 2 days eastward, just babying the engine and hoping it would keep going. With the wind on our nose, it would have taken us 3 days to 3 days and 3 nights to tack back and forth. So we just kept the engine rolling and kept heading eastward.
Until, and then just praying that the engine would hold out until we got to Samana.
We saw the land of the Dominican Republic soon enough, after about 36 hours, which was Saturday afternoon. However, we still had at least 16 hours to go to get to the marina at Samana. We were surprised to see the land rising up so far out of the ocean. We were used to the flat island terrain of the Bahamas. We hadn't planned to visit the DR, but now we were really looking forward to seeing it. It was just short of a miracle that the engine continued to run, albeit roughly, until the very moment that we changed our course to head south and raise the headsail. Then the engine just died due to the bad fuel. We had about an hour of a nice, spirited sail, and then the winds went down, and we were lucky to keep our speed at 3 knots. We estimated we would get to the marina at Samana the next morning. Going into our second night at sea, we each had only about 3 to 4 hours of sleep within the 36-hour period since we'd started. Thankfully, under sail, the motion is much more conducive to sleep, so we caught up enough to function safely. I had so many worries. How would we get into the marina without the engine? And if we had to anchor, would the conditions be okay for us to do that without the engine? I had to quiet my mind of all these concerns and rely on my faith. This was yet another situation to practice giving up the fear and worry, and then focus on the foundation of experience that we had built up in getting this far. We usually figure it out when we get there, and when we've needed help, it's been our experience that somehow people show up just as we've shown up for others. Now, to all of you sailors who normally go without an engine, we salute you. As it turned out, when I woke from my sleep at 6 a.m., we were sailing downwind, or rather drifting into the Samana Bay at 1 to 2 knots with only the Genoa out. It was super peaceful with low clouds and light rain. Morning, morning, morning. We almost skipped Dominican Republic, and I can't believe it because it is so beautiful here. Look at that behind me. We are coming into our anchorage in the Dominican Republic, and Samana, yeah, that's the name of it. And we're going to be staying at a marina, but we haven't checked in yet, so we're going to need to anchor first. And I think this is going to be our first time to anchor under sail. We've sailed off on anchor, but we've never actually anchored under sail without our engine, and we can't use our engine because of the contaminated fuel that we have. So, and then we have to figure out that problem. But for now, we're thankful that we got here. We got this far without our engine, and we had some beautiful sailing that we wouldn't have had. Maybe we would have motored more. Do you think?
Probably.
If we had use of our engine, but instead we sailed a lot of it, and it was pretty peaceful. We got some good sleep during the sail part, right?
Better sleep than with the engine on.
Yeah, that's for sure. And in that little inlet there, that bay, that's Samana. Or Samana? I don't know how to say it yet. We're going to be anchoring temporarily somewhere right at that rainbow's end. There's a marina right near there as well. We've got a space in the marina. Currently, Byron is already downstairs taking apart our bed so that he can find one of the fuel filters that might be clogged from the dirty fuel that we have. Hopefully, if we can get it unclogged and cleaned out, then maybe we can use our engine while we're anchoring. Meanwhile, this is rolling in behind us, so we might be getting rained on. The rainbow even extended into the water, right between the channel markers for the marina. It felt like a sign. Standing in awe of the beauty, I watched it become a double rainbow, and I hoped double the blessings. Byron was able to clean out the secondary fuel filter, but we didn't have the right wrench to remove the Raycor filter that was located under our bed, so that one couldn't be cleaned. But it was time to start it up and see if it would run. That guy right there, he got our engine running again, albeit temporarily, maybe, who knows, but he cleaned out some water that was built up underneath one of the filters. He wasn't able to get the other filter out, but we'll figure that out later. For now, the engine's running. Nice. What a relief. We were so thankful. Normally, engine noise is irritating to us, but this time it meant happiness with a side of exhaust fumes. We decided to go directly to the marina since we would be able to get into the narrow channel very easily now. We raised our quarantine flag and then tied up at the fuel dock unassisted. There was no attendant since it was early on a Sunday morning. We waited until Gavi, the marine manager, assigned us a slip. Byron backed the boat up all the way into the slip from the fuel dock while everyone on the dock watched, like we all do, and he became known as the backing guy. At this marina, we had access to 2 restaurants, a mini mart, 2 infinity pools, showers, a workout room, and Gavi could assist us with renting a car and finding our way around. We could also use our AC with the electricity, which is the first time we've been able to use it since last year. The only downside was that the water was not potable, so we would have to buy water or run our water maker in the marina, which we don't like to do. But the water in the marina was very clean, with lots of sea life. While waiting for Customs, Immigration, and the Armada to check us in, they let us eat in the restaurant. And wow, what a pizza! We also got to see our first flamingos in the wild, right on the property. It was time to take care of some of the issues we've had with the boat. We had found a bolt on our deck in the Turks and Caicos. We were finally in a calm place where we could have someone climb the mast and search for where the bolt may have come from. We suspected the radar mount. Ronaldo of the marina helped us hire a guy to climb the mast since neither me nor Byron were up to it this day. He repaired our wind instrument, which was loose and not aligned, but a search all up and down the mast gave no answer as to where the bolt may have come from. It was almost as if someone had just chunked it on the deck. Meanwhile, Gavi was helping us to source some new fuel filters. Our approach to solving our bad fuel problem was to run through the bad fuel and continue to clean the secondary fuel filter. We were also searching for the right wrench that would be able to remove the Raycor fuel filter.
Just a seat. Okay. Let's take that off real quick. Okay. And I want you as a secondary on this, and I'll just lower them. Got it. Okay.
We're actually renting a car for a day for $50, and Byron's going to be brave and drive in the Dominican Republic. What'd you say? You like this car?
I like this little car. Yeah, it's just a little shoebox.
I had to confirm. We do drive on the right here. We've been in a lot of countries that were British territories, and so you drive on the left. But here it's on the right. Go bump.
Day 1 with the rental car, and we're feeling so confident. What could go wrong? We went out to see some of the country and to try to find fuel filters. We were told if we got pulled over by the police, just give them 2,000 pesos, which is about $40, and they'll send us on our way. Besides the beauty in the country, there were a number of very unique things happening on the roads. Motorcycles and scooters were everywhere, and the more on the seat, the merrier. We would see a whole family of 4 or 5 on one motorcycle, and usually someone was also holding a newborn baby. Only the driver is required to have a helmet, and lots of folks just wore batting helmets or hoodies. About every 100 yards you can have a chance to buy lottery tickets, and the guardrails of every roadway served as a clothesline. As far as traffic guidelines or traditions, what we saw was you could pass on the right or pass on the left, drive on the wrong side of the road if you just want to backtrack a bit. Anything goes. Horses and donkeys are fine too. Mostly the drivers were courteous, and everything that was happening here was happening out of necessity.
It's a traffic light. I can't even believe that yet. Now we're going to have to get around 18 little mopeds.
We drove west on the peninsula to find a beach resort up on the northern coast. Mission accomplished. We found gorgeous beaches and fancy resorts, worth a return visit someday. We headed back along the northern coast with ocean on one side and mountains on the other. Stunning views and mountain roads that Byron loves to drive. But I'm one of those people that get that special energy where I wonder if we will shoot off the side of the cliff. We wrapped up with a visit to the town of Samana. The area is known for humpback whale watching, and the season is January through April, so we just imagined the whales, and that was pretty magical. Stops at a grocery store and the open-air market proved to be unproductive since we don't have an appreciation for fresh chicken feet and no need for diapers. There was plenty of liquor everywhere, but no fresh meat. The mechanical saga continues, no fuel filters, and no special wrench for the Raycor filter. It's a strange Caribbean scavenger hunt. The next day, we needed to have some fun and see something remarkable, so we visited the Cascada El Limon, the El Limon waterfall. We took the trail that was 4.3 miles round trip. We declined the horseback ride, but then we realized we would be walking the same trail as the horses, so we were walking in organically scented mud.
Let's just say horses have been here. Okay, so the whole trail is, from the horses. So it's a beautiful place though. Look at that bamboo. Oh, these are like some of the bamboo logs we saw floating in the ocean. They were this big.
The trail was gorgeous and peaceful, and no mosquitoes, flies, or gnats. It was kind of suspicious, like where were they hiding? It was about a 2-hour round-trip hike. Once we got closer, only 280 stair steps down. The waterfall was 52 meters high, which is about 171 feet. In the souvenir shop, they had lots of Larimar for sale, and I learned that the DR is the only place where this gemstone is found. Originally, it was just found on the beaches, but in 1974, the locals discovered the source. It was embedded 300 to 900 feet below the surface of a mountain within volcanic rock formations. So the mining began. Larimar is considered the gemstone of the Caribbean. All in all, we saw a tiny fraction of this country, but it was enough to remind us why this lifestyle is worth it. The people, the beauty, and the little disasters and surprises that bring us to a place where new experiences are born. We also got to check another box with this experience.
This is our last afternoon in the Puerto Bahia Marina in Dominican Republic, and we're getting ready to leave and go to an island and anchor there until about midnight when our good weather window should start. And we're gonna head across the Mona Passage to Puerto Rico, and hopefully it's a good time to do so.
We had our weather window to cross the Mona Passage to Puerto Rico. Our plan was to leave the marina and anchor over at a small island, Cayo Levantado, which was closer to the edge of the Samana Bay, and wait there until our weather window began, which was supposed to be shortly after midnight. But first we would fill up our diesel cans. It was a more trustworthy situation here because they store the fuel in a more stable weather environment that did not have condensation issues. The fuel that we got in Grand Turk was contaminated with water.
beautiful sunset. There's still a lot of Sahara dust here, and so everything looks really kind of mystic. And there's a lot of really cool colors into the sunsets.
The day began with a gentle rain. I called it a nice little rain, but it was plenty enough to wash the salt from the boat and set a peaceful tone. Soon after, the skies opened into a cold downpour, a vivid reminder of the DR's untamed spirit, and we don't have a lot of protection in the cockpit. Then, as if to balance it all, a full rainbow stretched across the sky, a beautiful reminder of God's promises. Just happy to experience it all, we continue living in gratitude